All right, let's dive in. This time, we're all about London, and this Love to Visit London newsletter is our guide.
Oh, I've seen this one. It's packed with good stuff.
Yeah, it makes me want to hop on a plane right now. I mean, Oxford Street, Islington, food, even Stonehenge, it's all here.
It really shows you just how much London has to offer.
Exactly. So anyone planning a trip, listen up. Especially if you want to go beyond the typical tourist stuff.
Right, get off the beaten path a bit.
Speaking of which, let's start with the big one, Oxford Street. They call it a shopper's paradise, but what really got me were these in-store and on-street services.
Hmm, interesting. It makes you wonder, what exactly are they doing?
Yeah, it makes it sound like there's more to it than just like walking into shops. What do you think?
Well, Oxford Street's known for having like tons of stores. Everything from the regular brands to those fancy designer boutiques.
Oh, for sure.
But by offering unique services, they're kind of upping the whole shopping experience.
I see what you mean.
It becomes less about just buying things and more about having an experience, almost like going to an event.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's more of a destination itself, not just a place to shop.
Exactly. And speaking of destinations, the newsletter also highlights Islington. They call it a vibrant cultural hub, which sounds pretty different from the shopping frenzy of Oxford Street.
Yeah, that caught my eye too.
Yeah.
They even mention Highbury Fields Park, which I'm picturing as this nice green escape from the city. What else makes Islington so special?
Well, Highbury Fields is a classic London park, that green space in the middle of all the buildings and everything.
Yeah, well.
But Islington itself, it's known for this mix of like history, art, and trendy spots.
Ooh, interesting.
It's got a bit of an edge to it, attracts a lot of creative people. You could easily spend a whole day there wandering through markets, checking out art galleries, and of course grabbing some food at one of their independent restaurants.
So we've got the hustle and bustle of Oxford Street and then this more like laid-back, artsy vibe of Islington. It's like two totally different sides of London.
You got it. And that's one of the things I really like about this newsletter. It pushes you to look beyond the typical touristy things and explore all these different neighborhoods that make up the city.
Yeah, it really does show you how much there is to see.
Okay.
This Around the Web section is a fun mix of London stuff. This one, Stairway to Food Heaven, caught my eye. It sounds like this awesome street food spot on Oxford Street. DJs, live music. Sounds pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Street food's a big part of London's food scene. And the Stairway to Food Heaven, it sounds like a prime example. It just reminds you, some of the best experiences aren't those typical tourist traps.
Absolutely. And speaking of hidden gems, did you see the one about Neil's Yard in Covent Garden?
Oh, yeah. I love Neil's Yard.
They describe it as this like small alley with colorful houses. I'm already picturing all the Instagram photos.
It's a great little spot. It's like, Londoners took this space and made it their own. This little pedestrian area with independent shops, cafes, even a health center, I think.
Oh, wow. That's neat. Sounds like a world away from the craziness of Covent Garden.
It is. It really is.
Adding that to my list. All right, this next one is perfect timing with the holidays coming up. Oxford Street's spectacular Christmas lights have returned to light up the nights. I've always wanted to see those.
Oh, they're famous. The Christmas lights on Oxford Street, huge crowds every year, and they've become like a real symbol of Christmas in London.
I can imagine. The energy of Oxford Street, but with all these twinkling lights, it must be magical.
I bet it is.
Going through this newsletter, it's like a treasure hunt for all these cool spots all over London.
That's a great way to put it. And they've got a bit of everything. There's Stonehenge, of course, the classic. Then there's a little blurb about a DLR.
The DLR, right, the driverless train system.
Yep, that's the one. One of the first fully automated public transport systems, I think.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Yeah, fascinating stuff for anyone interested in urban planning. London's always trying new things with its transportation.
For sure, always innovating. And lastly, they mentioned a museum, something about the household cavalry.
Ah, yes, all that pomp and ceremony.
Sounds interesting, all that history.
Well, London's full of history, isn't it? You can find it everywhere you look, from these big museums to just walking down the street.
You're right about that. All this London talk is making me hungry.
Me too.
Good thing they have a yum section. And it's dedicated to, the English breakfast London style.
A classic. No trip to London's complete without a full English. It's like a must-do.
Okay, before we completely go off on a food tangent, there's one last section extra. They've got this article, The Allure of Oxford Street, a London landmark. Makes you realize there's so much more to learn about this street.
Oh, absolutely. Oxford Street has a long history. It's changed so much over the years, from a simple road to this massive shopping destination.
I mean, it's amazing, right? Every corner of London has its own story. So what are we taking away from all of this? Oxford Street's way more than just shops, and there are all these hidden gems and cool experiences waiting to be found all over London.
It's true. This newsletter really feels like a guide to the heart of London.
Yeah.
It encourages you to look beyond the big attractions and really explore the different
And all
neighborhoods,
the quirky little
the
spots.
food scene.
Yeah. I've been to London a bunch of times, but I realize now I was so focused on those big tourist things that I totally missed out on all this charm and authenticity.
And that's the thing about London, isn't it? It doesn't matter how many times you go, there's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up this deep dive, gotta ask you, what hidden gem or unique experience would you seek out in London? Like, picture yourself planning your dream trip. What's on your must-do list?
Ooh, tough one. For me, it would be about finding those places where you can really connect with the local culture?
Right.
Like maybe a hidden jazz club in Islington or a vintage bookstore tucked away somewhere.
I love that idea. For me, I'm definitely adding Neil's Yard to my list. That colorful little alley sounds amazing.
And hey, maybe we'll bump into each other at Stairway to Food Heaven.
That would be awesome.
Mm.
All right, everyone, if you want even more London inspiration, check out the Love to Visit London newsletter. It's definitely worth a read. Until next time, happy exploring.